And we're going to get started with Mike Prizzuta, DVE.
Hey, Minkah, you gave us such a great detailed description of that Giants touchdown to Slayton after the first game. Can you break down the touchdown to Fant in a similar situation? Tell us what happened there and what you saw.
Who?
Noah Fant, the one that made it 17-14.
The tight end you talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they schemed it up pretty well again. They seen that we had it was kind of like a three-way, I guess you would call it, in our linebacker in coverage on the inside, and they just, it was a good route combination. They pushed one vertical. They brought number 3 up in an out-breaking route, and he was breaking away from Devin's leverage. They hit him multiple times because something that we run a lot, and we made an adjustment later in the game to it, but the other side of the ball gets paid as well. They're going to make plays. There's some things that we could have done better, of course, but like I said, they get paid as well. They're going to make those plays, but it was just another schematic things. It wasn't mismatch or nothing like that. We put Devin in a tough situation, and he wasn't even in terrible position. It was just a tough play on him.
Tim Benz, Trib.
Minkah, what's it like to study the Houston Texans with no DeAndre Hopkins as part of their offense? How are they approaching the passing game? Do you notice specific roles for the selection of receivers that they have out there, like a specific deep guy, slot guy, things like that?
Yeah, every team has that. Receivers have different roles. We have it. The next team we play will have that same thing. I'm not going to get into details. I don't want to let everybody know what I think, but it's not too much different than when 10 was out there. They have receivers that are like him, obviously not him, but are like him. They can run the same route tree as him. They just there's next man up. Not too much has changed from last year to this year. It's just a different name out there. We're going to go out there and do what we got to do to cover them up.
Ray Fittipaldo, Post-Gazette.
Hey, Minkah, there were a lot of injuries across the league last week to a lot of big names as well. What was your reaction to that when you got home and found out about that? And were you kind of expecting that because you guys were just jumping into a season after, no preseason?
Yeah. It's definitely an unfortunate situation. I know a lot of the guys that got hurt across the league, praying for them, hoping that they heal quick and have a healthy comeback. But it's the game of football, and like you said, we're put in a tough situation. Even though most of us been playing football our entire life, we still need that time to acclimate our bodies, to the pounding ground, especially our tendons, and ligaments and stuff like that. Stuff that you have to condition your body to. So if your body's not conditioned to it, and you go out there, and running back, running the ball 20 times a game, getting beat up, that's tough. So you're definitely going to see a lot of injuries across the board.
Chris Adamski, Trib.
Minkah, you guys have been, as a defense, blitzing like historic rate so far through these 2 games, way above everybody else in the league. As a secondary, is that –
What do y'all consider a blitz?
What do I consider a blitz?
Yeah.
I think sending more than 4 pass rushers at a given time.
Okay.
Is the way I interpret it, but I'm not the one making the stat list, so I could be off in terms of who's interpreting it. But
I was just curious.
Okay. Yeah, I got. Now sometimes you're sending DBs, but more often than not, it's not. I guess as a secondary, is it pressure on you whenever there are? I mean, you're more man to man, maybe that type of, or at least more. You have fewer guys to cover more of their guys. I guess is what I'm getting at. Is that hard on a secondary when you guys blitz, or do you kind of welcome that because it affects the opposing quarterback?
No, we welcome it. We get paid to cover receivers. Cover tight ends, cover running backs. That's our job. It is a little bit tougher. But we trust our D line. We got probably the best defensive line, front 7 across the league. So we trust them to get there fast. They trust us to cover in the back end and not bust any assignments. And I think we execute that very well around the board.
Brian Batko, Post-Gazette.
Minkah, you faced Deshaun Watson a few times over the years. How have you seen him improve over time? And are there any plays or even games that specifically stick out to you that you remember from going against him either in college or the pros?
Deshaun Watson, he's a great player. Everything he's received, he's definitely deserved for sure. He can make all the throws across the field. He's accurate. He uses feet. He extends plays. He, breaks tackles in the backfield, and there's crazy stuff that not a lot of quarterbacks can do across the league. Maybe one or two other guys can do across the league. I remember when I played against him in college. I played against him twice, and we won the first game. We lost the second one. But I just remember he was the player that I respected, man. He was a tough, gritty guy, which you don't see a lot at quarterback, you know what I'm saying? So, we were putting it on him, we were hitting him, we were sending pressure, he was escaping the pocket, we were still beating him up. And I just remember every time, you could tell he was hurting, but he was getting back up. And he definitely earned my respect after those two games. And then, he got to the league. While I was still a junior, he was just making plays, you know what I'm saying, and doing what he does. So he's a great player. I have the utmost respect for him. He's just a good guy off the field as well. So
We have time for a couple follow-ups. Raise your hand if you'd like to ask one. I'm going to give it a couple seconds here. All right, we're going to go to my screen's doing weird stuff. We're going to go to Mike Prizzuta in just a second. All right, go ahead, Mike.
Thanks, Ange. Minkah, you mentioned you guys made an adjustment after that touchdown. Was that a lot more effective? And is that what Bush was getting picked on at times in that game? Is that what stopped it?
You're asking what exactly? I'm sorry.
Yeah, we were talking about that the touchdown to Fant earlier, and you said you guys made an adjustment in your coverage. You would put Bush in a tough position. They had been going at him fairly regularly. Did your schematic adjustment work? Did that solve the problem?
Yeah, I think so.
All right. We'll go to Ray Fittipaldo for a follow-up.
Minkah, one more on the injuries. A lot of the 49ers players were saying that the Metlife Stadium turf was sticky. Did you notice that? And are you aware going into a game that you're playing on new turf, or there might be issues with that turf, and how does that play into your mindset?
Yeah, I am not a very big fan of the artificial turf. There's a few stadiums across the league that have it. It's just there's no give to it at all. You know what I'm saying? Like when you play on regular grass, the grass will shift or it might come up a little bit if you put a whole bunch of weight into the ground. When you're on the artificial turf, there's no give whatsoever. So the only thing that's going to give is your body. You know what I'm saying? And after a game, like we just played there last week, and you just feel the aches and pains in their ankles, in your knees, and just in your joints a whole lot more than what you would on regular grass. So if it were up to me, I would get rid of artificial turf completely. But it's more efficient for some people. But it's definitely something that every time we play on it, extra ankle tape. You know what I'm saying? Make sure the shoelaces is tied tight because I already know I'm gonna be feeling it after the game.